Welcome to Main Street Minds with your host, Amish Munshi. This is where industry leaders and seasoned pros share their secrets to success beyond limits. Let's dive in.
Hello and welcome to Main Street Minds. Today we have a very special guest, Suzanne, over here. Suzanne is extremely great working with both buyers and sellers and specializing in a very niche market and one of the most favorite markets for most investors. So investors can only make money when buyers and end users also end up buying a house, right? So uh, irrespective of how interesting the market is for us, there are real buyers, real sellers, and a lot of momentum in the market, and there's just so much about Nashville that I'm looking to learn and hear. So without any further delay, let's welcome Suzanne. Thanks for joining on a busy Wednesday. It's a pleasure to have you. Tell us more about you.
Thank you. Well, first, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really excited to, just to share and have a good conversation about real estate from all over the country, actually. I'm a native Nashvilleian, so I'm a unicorn, is what they like to call us, because there aren't many of us natives left. I'm one of 6 kids and have always kind of grown up in the real estate industry. My dad was a land planner, surveyor, and long-term investor. So it kind of is in the blood. I grew up with it. Got my real estate license when I was a junior in college and kept doing it ever since, but I haven't added the numbers. I don't know how long that is. It's over 30. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. All I would say is like you've seen it all.
Well, probably not. Every single day, every single thing we do is totally different. But yeah, there's a lot of
Always,
experience
every
there.
single transaction has something so unique that comes up, and I'm like, how come after all these years we haven't seen this before?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm at a point where my children were very, very young, and I needed to be home nights and weekends. So I got my general contractor's license. I think I was told, I don't know if this is true. I was told that I was the first woman in Tennessee to pass it on the first test.
Oh
Don't
wow.
know if that's true, but they told me that. But I got that license, and I was doing kind of one of the first to do infill properties where it was a great location, house that didn't have good bones, was not a good house, and taking that down and designing a home and building specifically for that lot. So it wasn't a plan book house. It was specifically for that lot, the location.
Mhm.
And I was one of the first to do that in an area called Green Hills here in the Nashville area.
Yeah.
And I did that for about 15 years or so.
Mhm.
My last house was 2008 when I realized the market was really turning and that was way too risky for me to do on my own. And so I went back into general sales and resales.
Sweet, nice. So, like, you were mainly focusing on investments, but prior to that, uh,
No, it was actually spec building. So
okay,
I would a great location, find a house, didn't have good bones, designed for what that lot needed, what that location needed, and build a house. It would take a good year to year and a half by the time all said and done, and sell it on the open market.
nice. Yeah. I think one of the best projects I've done is an infill project. So, yeah, it's perfect. I think.
Well, it's tried and true. People love the location. It's a place they want. You just know they haven't found the house that fits those needs.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, makes sense.
yeah.
So, tell us more about the journey. From like, are you able to see patterns in the market that says, oh, this is the good time to be buying, this is the good time to be selling? Is it after all these years, is it even remotely possible to like actually time the market?
I don't think so. I really don't. When I have buyers or sellers here, people are thinking about which of the two to do. If it's time to buy is when the numbers make sense for you, you
Mhm,
can do it, your vendor can handle it, it meets your needs, and
mhm.
then the time is right. You don't know. I know that people were talking doom and gloom 3 years ago. We're ready for a bubble burst. Everything's too expensive. Just wait, just wait. Well, those same people lost the 2022 market where we were still at about an 18 to 20% appreciation. They lost the last year market where we had a 7% appreciation. They've lost this year's market, which is a 6% appreciation. So yeah, the interest rates are higher. And I don't like the phrase, I know you've heard this, date the rate, buy the house, date the rate, or something like that. I don't like that. If it makes sense for you and you have a need, then it makes sense to buy it. Then you can always refinance at some point. But Look at how much appreciation. That was almost 40% appreciation in 2 years that people have
Yeah.
lost out on.
Yeah, and it's way more expensive. It doesn't matter if the rate is 2% anymore.
Yeah, no, yeah, yeah. So I'm a little worried, and I'd love to hear your thoughts too. We're right at 6.5, 6.25, depending on your, credit scores, a lot of different things. But I'm afraid that if it goes down below that 5 mark,
Hmm.
so much pent up demand is going to rush in, and that's really going to hike the prices again.
Yeah, and
So
I think that has happened. Like there was a couple of times, even 2024 August, I think there was like 15 days when there was a blip of rate going down,
yeah,
and like there were houses that were sitting on the market for a year and all gone
yeah,
within the 15 days. It's
yeah,
like,
yeah. Well, we are seeing, and again, it's always interesting to see what's happening across the country. We are seeing flattened as far as 5-6% appreciation, but we also are seeing more inventory, so that's good right now for buyers. They do have more to choose from. Sellers, to be closed to sell, are needing to really price right, to be marketed right, but also to be willing to negotiate some things that they didn't have to several years ago.
yeah.
Now people are not trying to waive inspections, which I was always afraid of. They're not having to waive appraisals to be able to get a house under contract. So I think it's a better market for both, actually.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the only negative thing that I see is like a lot of sellers that are in the market right now are the ones that bought in 2020, 2021. So they are not accustomed to like saying, what do you mean the house is listed? It doesn't sell the next day.
That's true. That is so true. Because when you're looking at 40 days on the market, which is about where we are right now in the whole general area, that seems like forever. Well, that's not even a balanced market yet. It's still a seller's market.
Yeah.
It's not what they're used to.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. So, so I think what you mentioned is right now it feels like more like a buyer's market, but technically it might be more like a balanced market right
I
now.
think I
Yeah,
think I really think so. I really do think so.
yeah,
And I think that makes a lot more sense for everybody. It's not in place where we were 2.5 years ago. You put it on the market no matter what, and people were having to accept the house and pay exorbitant overprice. And still not seeing people lose money by any means if they've been in the house for 2-3 years. But still, it's not the blow and go that it was for a while, which is a good thing.
yeah. So tell us something about what does it take for an agent to have a long-term career in real estate? Like what motivates you to like staying in the business? What's the right mindset of an agent to make a long-term career?
That's really interesting. You have to treat it like a business,
Mm-hmm.
which is easy to say, but okay, now what does that mean? You take the test, you got your license, you have no idea how to still do real estate, right? Because you got to find the buyers, you got to find the sellers, you got to find the market who's looking for you. And you're walking in there, waiting in, um, with people who've been in the market like me for 35 years, or in people who've been in for several years. It's a tough competitive market. I think what newcomers have as a real coup in their cap is that they understand social media. They understand how to use it. They understand SEO. They understand now AI in a way that old people like me is having to really work hard to learn.
Yeah.
One thing, big time, and again, I started when we had a book. We didn't have a cell phone. We didn't even have beepers.
Yeah.
So I started with this huge book, and people would every Tuesday beg us to please, can I come borrow your book just overnight so they could see the new listings that came on the market. Everything was totally different. So it moves much faster now. But
Yeah.
those of us who haven't learned how to use, uh, it's just the fun thing about real estate is it's never the same.
Yeah.
Every 5 years is dramatically different.
Yeah.
So if you hate change, you're gonna hate it. But if you really kind of can embrace it and enjoy it, you got to treat it like a business. You got to know every penny that's going out. You have to realize that your time is money,
Mhm.
because if you spend 12 hours a day or 12 hours a week not working, you could have been at McDonald's at least making, I don't know,
Yeah.
15 an hour. So every hour that you're not doing something toward your business or in your business, you're losing money. So if you think about it, like, would I hire me seeing the work that I did today? And if you can't, if you have to say no to that, you either have to realize I need to not be in real estate or I need to buck it up and get better.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. So I think it's about liking what you do and treating it as a business, right? Like focusing on doing it professionally and doing it right.
And the thing is, once you get your real estate license, you're going to start getting 500 different ideas of things you should do. This is only going to cost you one closing a year. Think if it actually, all the things that they want you to physically spend money on to pay, and it's just not. If you will document your day, learning what you're doing all the way through, show that to people who start watching what you're doing, that's going a long way. And for old people like me who don't want to be on camera and we just forget about that, some of those newcomers are really beating us to the punch.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing what social media is able to do, right? It doesn't cost anything. I don't know how much Facebook and Google end up paying for all this storage, and how do they provide this infinite, unlimited video uploads and audio uploads, and then they keep it forever. And they know so much more about us than we know about ourselves.
I'm gonna say that's I mean it is actually kind of scary. I'll go look at something for 2 seconds and I'm starting to get ads for it.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
know it. We know.
Yeah, my daughter yesterday said, I like we were playing a music, we were playing something on YouTube Music, and it was the song she wanted to listen to, and she's like, I'm thinking about another song. Let's see if it can actually play that song next. And I was like, oh my God, my 7-year-old is freaking me out. Like if
Are you real? Oh, that's funny. Did
yeah,
it get it? Did it
realize
understand?
that computers and cell phones are like able to comprehend what we are thinking, forget about what we are saying.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
it's well known that if we speak a word, it's everything is listening to us. But if what we are thinking is also actually happening.
And well, and it knows us. It knows across the board exactly what you're doing, what you're watching, what you're
Yeah,
seeing. I
yeah.
have a YouTube channel, and it's interesting because I go watch other people to learn from them. And
Mhm.
suddenly I'm spoon fed their videos for weeks if I don't go
It's
constantly
difficult to
and
get
watch it.
rid of it. There's no like Facebook doesn't even have an unlike button, right? There is yeah, YouTube at least has something unlike, but like some of these, like it's difficult to disconnect from like if you ended up liking one video of somebody and the other videos you don't like, you're gonna be fed everything.
You are. That's it. That's it. It's a learning process. So truly, I think to answer your question, if I were a new agent today starting, I would go to. I don't think I'd go to a team.
Hmm.
I would, as in, they feed me leads and I go out and sell and then they get a percentage. I don't think I would do a team. I would go to a company that had like a buddy system or surround yourself with people who are happy to share with you all they're doing
Hmm.
because, and that's 100% the way I am. If somebody wants to learn how to do YouTube to grow their business, I am happy to share everything I'm doing, the courses that I took, all the things.
Yeah,
2 reasons. One, I don't see everybody as competition. I mean, if they're gonna do it, great. They're gonna make me better. If
yeah,
they're not gonna do it, okay.
yeah.
Um, but I think you've got to learn to do the things to be your own generator of business rather than rely on somebody else.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
there's a lot of there are a lot of people like that, who are very abundant, and I'll share whatever you want, and you're gonna have to do the work. I'm not gonna just give you my time, but sure, I'll help share.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the reasons why even I switched over to real estate. The richest person on earth might be able to like accept the top 1% maybe, but majority of the rich people will barely be able to afford 2 or 3 blocks of real estate. Like it's expensive. There is so much opportunity out there. We don't have to kind of hold things to ourselves. There is a lot of sharing, there is a lot of collaboration, and we don't have to like kind of like hold anything to ourselves. It's easy to share, and it's good to work in this industry.
Right, right. Well, and I think that also surrounding yourself with people who, and I don't mean in the same room with you, but as you're in California, I'm here. I've learned from a lot of people and what they do and what's happening in each area.
Mhm.
That to bring new ideas to your area that you've learned maybe from somewhere else. And I think that's a huge piece of how the last couple of years has become so much more successful for my business. And it was a good business, but in learning from other people and what they're doing and what's working and what to then just kind of turn my eyes away from, because there's so many ways you can get unfocused, and you can't have 15 lanes of focus. You got to have that one, dig deep, have two, dig deep, and keep those moving.
Keep optimizing one strategy, right? Like find a strategy that you can easily connect with, that you're able to do, and then stick to it. Majority of the times, I'm a victim and culprit of doing the same things. Like I tend to do so many things, and then uh, I might be giving up just at a time when it's going to start working. Yeah,
What is that? 3 feet from gold. Isn't that the name of the book? I think it's,
yeah,
shoveling and shoveling, getting almost to gold and then just giving up.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 That happens
All
way
of it
too
works if
much.
you work it.
Yeah, yeah. Either we are trying to do something that we are not naturally inclined to do, like we are forcing ourselves to do something. If you're not fine with social media, don't do it. It's okay.
Yeah.
Do door knocking.
But replace it with something that is going to have you out there. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know when I first got started, the thing everybody was doing, you got to have a farming community, and you got to make 15 phone calls, or what is it, $15 an hour? I don't know. And you have to get an auto dialer now is the thing. And,
yeah,
somebody's dialing out 30 phone numbers, and if one person picks up, then you answer it real quick. And
yeah.
I can't do business that way. I would much rather be face to face with people doing things to bring out good info.
It's really tough to do to have a cold outreach and get something out of it. It does work. I'm not saying that
It does work.
some people,
Yeah.
yeah,
For me, it would be
a lot of
soul
people give
crushing.
up. A lot of people give up before it actually works. Cool.
Well, and again, it worked when people answered the phone. It worked when people couldn't send it to voicemail.
Yeah.
But so I think that's kind of what I'm saying. Some of the old school methods worked. It made great money, and people who could build their business that way, great. That's not, I don't think, for somebody who's brand new, what will get them the fastest speed and results of having a good business.
Yeah, yeah. I would say just as you mentioned, right? Like get a buddy, learn one strategy, see what is working in the market, and just replicate it.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
sounds, yeah. So tell us a little more about Nashville. Like what is it? How has it transformed over the years? What are you seeing in the market right now?
Nashville is a really interesting place. I've always lived here my entire life. And I know that up until maybe the early 80s, mid 80s, we were just pretty much a mid-tier city, a nice under the radar mid-tier city, beautiful Four Seasons, but small town community. I think if anybody from around the country thought of us, they thought of it as Music City, USA, just music, which is great. That Hee Haw TV show put us on the map. But Nashville actually has manufacturing, banking, healthcare, the
Yeah,
music industry. I've forgotten the word. What is it? Hotels, restaurants, not service. What do you call it? Hospitality. Those are our five major industries.
yeah,
And so even in years when things maybe have slowed down during I say back to 5 and 08 and mid 90s, late 90s, we didn't plummet. We just kind of flattened, because
mhm,
there's so much of the infrastructure holding it up. Now, when it came like what 2000, we became one of the it cities, and we're now top 50 cities in the country. We have grown exponentially, and there's some growing pains. I will 100% admit there's some real growing pains, and that's of our infrastructure, which I know is everywhere, is a problem. Um, we are built on a lot of rock. So, you're not going underground.
yeah,
We are a city where you need a car. We don't have great rapid transit. And so there's some issues, but it's grown. It's so interesting. When I was growing up, there was kind of one area, and then say Hendersonville was out by the lake community. That was a totally different area.
mhm,
Each of these communities is its really own local community with its own people live there, have everything they need to be right there. So when
mhm,
you come downtown, only if you want to go to, say, a Predators game or a Titans football game or something that is downtown, a huge concert. But if you want live local music, you can get it in your area, whether that's Spring Hill, Thompson Station, or Hendersonville, or Mount Juliet. So each is its own really microcosm of a
Yeah.
city that people can become and create their own city and their own community, which I think is pretty nice. It's not a giant sprawl of feeling
Mhm.
like you're just a ant in a million people.
Yeah. And is there any similarities like kind of like Dallas or Phoenix, where there's like multiple kind of, we can call multiple downtowns coming together all within the same city?
We haven't had that kind of,
Okay.
well, I think I understand what you're saying. We haven't had that kind of growth, like between Nashville and Brentwood, which is the next city south. It's not the sprawl where one merges to the other.
Yeah. Okay.
So we haven't had that kind of growth. And they're trying to do, many of the areas are trying to really not have that sprawl. You know, they don't want there to be a million houses and it just becomes one giant city. So each one still has its own personality.
Yeah, that's always special, right? Like you can have different variety of things. You can just drive down 20 minutes and feel completely different.
Yeah. Yeah. It does. It does. And that's what's interesting about talking to people who are moving here. You know, I want to, people often want to talk about, this is the type of house that I want. I said, we need to step way back. Let's talk about the kind of lifestyle that you want.
Yeah.
You know, where you living? Where do you think you're going to be working?
Mm.
What do you want when you get home? What is the community like when you get home? What is the lifestyle that you want?
Yeah.
For that and a budget, you know, they are very different.
Mm.
And I think I can help direct them from that, knowing what they want to, okay, this community, and that one sounds like it might be a good fit for you. This
Yeah.
one you're going to hate because you have to drive to Nashville every day and you don't want to be in an hour traffic. Well,
Mhm.
I'm used to an hour traffic in, I don't know, from Chicago. Yeah, but you want to be near your friends and you're
Yeah.
going to hate me if you are one of the few who has to drive an hour to get back and forth to work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's fun
And
conversations.
what are you seeing in the market? Like, are there more people moving from outside to Nashville, or like is it more local transition? Like
That's a
more.
problem. Locals right now can't move.
Mm.
You know, what we've got is people who maybe are wanting to downsize.
Yeah.
You know, they may live in Franklin, Tennessee. They've raised their children. They've been in the great school districts. They
Mhm.
want to downsize, but they don't want to leave their community. You know, they like the same doctor, the same dentist, the same restaurants. They've come up with a rhythm to find something smaller that meets their needs, that then allows them to walk away with their chunk of equity that they've obviously built. Can't do it because they're all being bought up. So that's one of the reasons we're having a lot of problem with inventory in some of these great areas, is because people just aren't moving. So it's
Yeah.
newcomers coming in. They're bringing a good amount of money with them if they come from some of the larger cities,
Mhm.
and really pushing up that market. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense. So, as you did mention, like right now you're seeing like more of a balanced market, I think, like between buyers and sellers, or uh, I think it's a very, very different market, I think, like because the locals are going to feel very different than anyone that's coming in. So
Yeah.
I think it's a very unique place, and you're still seeing growth, right? Like you're seeing population increase, more commercial properties
Yeah.
coming up with that.
They're expecting another million by 2040.
Oh wow.
Now that's in the entire SMSA, and
Mhm.
that's an 8-county area. And where I'm seeing a whole lot of growth is, as a outside in the outer counties. They're much more affordable. There's a lot more land there to be able to build. People wanting newer construction.
Yeah.
So many people can come here who are able to work remotely. So
Mhm.
it's not as a matter of them having to drive into downtown
Yeah.
by any means. Say if you're in there are business districts in each one of these areas too. So, but yeah, we're having still a lot of growth. We're not really seeing migration out. The only migration that I'm seeing out is back to those same people who want to downsize a little bit. They're not
Yeah.
leaving Tennessee. They like the tax situation. They don't want to, and especially if they're retiring,
Mhm.
because of the tax benefits of that. And they're not wanting to leave their families, you know, because a lot of them have a lot of family around, but they may be going to a town that's outside of Nashville, maybe an hour, 2 hours away, over to Cookeville, out to Dixon, out west, a little bit further away, but not leaving the state by any means, but to more affordable areas.
Yeah, makes sense. So yeah, so as we come closer towards the end of this episode, I always like to ask like any other pieces of advice that you would like to share with buyers, sellers, and other agents.
Buyers selling to other agents. With other agents, don't hesitate to reach out to somebody who you see is doing something well and really seems to be killing it, and ask them for their advice as to, take a look at maybe at your business and what you're doing, and maybe they can help you tweak something that'll make a giant difference.
Yeah.
And there are those who really will help. You might need to go outside of your little community, but there are those who will help. Buyers, get really, really specific on the 5 things you got to have in a home. By home, I mean community, really, not even a home. 5 things you want in the home and or community. Like after a certain age, everybody's wanting a primary down. Keep that focus and then turn off the Zillow lights of all the houses that look great and phenomenal, but they don't have the basics of what you really wanted, because that can never go away. But get really very clear on your budget, get pre-approved, because nobody's looking at any offers without already having a pre-approval. Get that started. Start a good year before you want to move, to make sure credit's where you want it to be, or the things you can do to make that credit better. Reaching out to a really good mortgage lender who will help walk you through that whole thing to make sure things right, so that when you're ready to buy, you can buy. Go to visit the community. If you're a seller, please look at the analytics and make sure your agent is looking at the analytics of days on the market in a microcosm of your community, not just Nashville in general. So Nashville in general, the days on the market is 46, and median price of homes is 496 to 515, depending on who you talk to. But the average is quite different from that. That you will not find in Belmead or the city of Belmead. You will not find those numbers there. So you really need to get a microcosm of where you are to get the hard, fast numbers. And that's something that agents should be able to give you. And then make sure that it looks perfect. I just showed a house today that had they painted the rooms that were great for them, but one was red, one was green, one was yellow. People will look at a house first on Zillow or online, and they decide whether to not see it simply because of those pictures. And a little bit of money will go a long way in getting it seen in person.
I buy a lot of fixer houses, and there was one that I didn't buy because of green carpet, and it looked like there was grass inside the house.
Well, luckily, I was with some people who can see past that, and they wanted a house like that because they knew they could get a good deal, and they're right. So who do you want to give the deal to? The buyer, or to you? Put it back in your pocket, spend 3, make 10.
Yeah, exactly. So, thanks for coming on the show today. It's been a pleasure. I've learned a lot from you. Looking forward to more collaboration, and thanks for very, very valuable insight and explaining us more about Nashville.
Thank you for inviting me. I really look forward to doing it again. Let's keep in touch.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Main Street Minds. Want to share your journey with our audience? Head over to mainstreetmindspodcast.com/guest to apply.